Hi, Jesse.
Good to see you.
You as
I think
well.
that I think they've got a little video clip that they're going to run. If you want to start with that, because it shows the actual center. We have a new home in Lakewood that we opened on June the 22nd of 2020 during the midst of the pandemic. One of the things that we were committed to early on was that families would not lose their services, that staff would remain employed, and that we would make sure that they had their health benefits in place. Firefly also created a food pantry for staff and families in the event. Some of them were impacted by COVID. And I'm lucky today, I've got one of my best friends here, Mr. Max Apple. He's the founder of OxyClean, he and his wife. And I think most of you have used OxyClean at one point in time in your lives. So he's joining us. We're here in his office in the basement of their home in Centennial. So thank you so much for having me. And if you guys want to do the video real quick, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about us and be happy to answer questions.
Navigating the path along the autism spectrum, the fastest growing disability in the United States, is no easy task. Ensuring the best quality of life, access to education, and integrated care are essential, and Firefly Autism provides this while focusing on supporting both the diagnosed and the entire family unit. The nonprofit organization has been serving the Denver metro area with leading in-home and center-based programs, creating results through proven applied behavior analysis therapy, led by a gifted and committed team of professionals. Firefly Autism focuses on helping people on the autism spectrum to feel part of the community at large, emphasizing the results that come from community integration. The organization ensures equity by making sure that all individuals have access to services and no barriers exist, and has been at the forefront of legislation to ensure insurance coverage and sliding scale services. They also know that in order to provide the best services for people diagnosed is making sure necessary resources are available for caregivers so they can feel comfortable knowing those with autism are in a safe and nurturing environment throughout the day. Firefly Autism provides a variety of programs rooted in ABA based on each individual's and family's needs, including home-based services, center-based services, early childhood program, school-age program, speech and occupational therapy, social skills groups, school consultations, parent training and workshops, sibling workshops, adult programs, and diagnostics. Beyond providing services for people with autism and their families, Firefly also offers training services to ensure that teachers, bus drivers, administrators, paraprofessionals, and other members in the community are all equipped with information to provide care and understanding for people with autism. For more information on Firefly Autism, visit fireflyautism.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Thank you. So Terry, do you want to just say a few words, since you're the one that kind of initiated this as well, about Firefly and how it's touched your life personally?
Actually, I do not want to take up any of your time, Jesse. Jesse, you've been so patient. Thank you. I have met Jesse, or got to be around Jesse, a few times because if you didn't hear me earlier, I am so incredibly passionate about this and want to grow awareness on autism because my 12-year-old grandson is on the spectrum, and it was Firefly that did the testing. But Firefly is an amazing school. And so, Jesse, thank you, and thank you again. Here's Jesse.
So Firefly Autism, we're going on 19 years of doing this work as a nonprofit in the Denver metro area and across Colorado. Today, we're now recognized as national leaders and in some references as international leaders in the work that we do through ABA therapy. But Firefly has transformed since we moved into the new facility. For the first 18 years of our history, we were located on the corner of Yale and Holly. I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I know where that location was. I used to pass there all the time. And then we were fortunate enough you know, Max and Elaine Apple have been instrumental in helping Firefly become get to the place where now we're launching nationally. And so what's really wonderful about Firefly in our new location is that we were able to expand services that we're providing to our communities, including diagnostics, including mental health services, programs for adults on the spectrum, because for too many years, people assume that a child grew out of autism. Well, we know that's not the case. Autism follows the person their entire lifespan. And so now Firefly is working with babies as early as 12 months and well into their seniors, 70s and 80s. We had a donor come in for a tour. He was 70 years old. He had heard about us, called us up just out of the blue, said, I want to tour your facility. And at the end of the tour, he and I were talking, and in very point blank, he's like, Jesse, where was Firefly when I was a little boy? And I was so moved by that, because I was like, what? And he goes, I got my autism diagnosis at age 67. He goes, if I'd have had a Firefly when I was a little boy, life would have made sense. I wouldn't have felt like an outcast. I could have understood why I was different. He said, my whole life, all I wanted to do was raise a family, to be married, to be happy. And he says, now I understand, but now for me, it's too late. So I want to be involved to make a difference for the next. So because of him, because of Max and Elaine, we're now providing services after hours in the evenings for adults on the spectrum. Nowhere in the United States are you going to find a program like this. One of the unique things about Firefly is we focus on research. We're creating the next labor force in the mental health arena as well. But we identify the issues and then we come up with the solutions. One of our projects we have 2 to 3 years down the road is to create the first of its kind Firefly community group home setting, because one of the things that we also know is that once a child ages out at age 21, it's like the family falls off a cliff, because there are no support services for these families. There is no funding for these families. So we're looking to address that. We were fortunate enough to get our first little seed money for that particular group home project that we're looking at. And so what that'll do is provide a community for adults on the spectrum where they have the supports that they need, but they also have, we get them ready for the workforce. And so we're doing that currently, even within our center, with our aging young adolescents, 18 to 21, so that they're prepared. We're also working to create partnerships in the retail industry as well to provide good jobs, number one, and in the tech industry as well. But also so that these kids, beginning at age 16 through 21, can actually start earning a paycheck. So Firefly truly is a state-of-the-art facility now in Lakewood. We're continuing to grow. We're continuing to expand. We have our first BCBA, Firefly Florida. She moved last year to Florida. She's still working for Firefly, and now we're going to begin providing services for Floridians in Southern Florida, and then expand that as well. We also are looking at having Firefly New Jersey, because again, one of the things that our employees, once they come to Firefly, because of the level of integrity, the level of expertise, the fact that we are creating the next workforce. Right now I have 21 current employees that are in coursework for their BCBA, Board Certified Behavioral Analyst certification. So before you can practice ABA therapy, you have to be certified. So Firefly is on the forefront of so many things that we're looking from a national perspective and then international perspective. And one last thing I'll tell you is that if you've not been touched by Firefly, and I tell this to everybody, you will be, because of the rate of incidence of Firefly now. Now it's 1 in 54 children are being diagnosed every day on the spectrum. It impacts boys. And if you noticed in that video, that beautiful video with the children singing, the majority were boys. There's a reason for that. Boys are impacted 4 times the rate that girls are. So for every 5 diagnostic results, 4 of them will be boys, 1 will be a girl. And there are various reasons, and if we had a lot of time, I'd tell you more about that. But in interest of time and giving you an opportunity to ask any questions, I'm just doing a real quick abbreviated discussion on who we are and what we're doing. So I'll open this up to anyone that has questions about Firefly, about autism, and the work that we're doing.
I'll ask a question. How did you arrive at the name of Firefly?
So that's a great question. 10 years ago, our legal name is Alta Vista Center for Autism, doing business as Firefly Autism. So back then, the logo for Firefly was a mason jar. And there were little fireflies in the mason jar. And one of the taglines was inspiring bright futures. So the lid of that mason jar, a child was holding open. He was holding the mason jar, and you could see these little fireflies. The whole thing behind a firefly is that fireflies light up the world, right? And so what we wanted to do was use that metaphor that our children, once you learn how to communicate, because autism is a neurological processing disorder, but bottom line, it's a different way of seeing the world. It's a different way of communicating. And when you are opened to learn different ways of communication, not only do you open up their world, but your world opens up. So the whole idea behind a firefly is releasing their potential, letting them soar to light up the world and bring the gifts that every child is given at birth.
If somebody wants to get information, you're very touching, but how do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So it's really easy. Just go to our website, fireflyautism.org, and look up about us, click, you'll find me. My email's on there, my phone number is on there, and you have them connect with me and I will get them connected with the right staff. One of the beautiful things about Firefly is whether a family ends up coming to Firefly or not, we've become a resource for that family.
Yes.
So we work with them to let them know, do they qualify for Medicaid? What is their insurance on the hook for to pay for autism treatment services? Because a lot of times the insurance companies will do everything they can to not pay. Right now, fundraising is a very important piece of my annual budget, because that represents, I have to raise almost 30% of the bottom line, which represents about $1.5 million every year, just for fundraising to be able to keep the organization moving forward. And the reason being is because insurance companies fight tooth and nail. And so if we bill them $500 for the treatments that we've done for a week, we're lucky if we get 200. So that other 300, that's where development comes in to make up that difference. Here's the other beautiful thing about Firefly. Because of our mission, we never stop seeing a child because of the family's inability to pay. We have a couple of families that lost their insurance because of COVID. Firefly did not stop serving the family, because it's part of who we are. Once we start seeing a baby, we don't stop seeing a baby because they can't pay. We'll figure that out. We'll use whatever funds that we can pull out of development to cover those costs. So it's easy, fireflyautism.org. Go to the website, you can learn more about us. There's many more videos on what we do and the work that's happening there. I would tell you that we have world-class, and I mean this, experts that work at Firefly. And we have a whole research arm that works at Firefly that we're taking advantage of. So it really is an amazing organization.
Yeah, I love your focus on adults who are, because I have some friends and family that have experienced that. So thank you.
You're welcome. And what I would tell you is that on the website, they can get more information on our adult programs. Because right now it started out, we opened it in the end of October, and it started out with one group. Now it's expanded. We're adding more groups because as we knew, the need is so great.
Yeah, Jesse, I have a question.
Sure.
This is Bill from Boulder. This is an unbelievable organization. I mean, I tear up just listening to you. But you mentioned that you have this disease for life. What I was wondering is therapy all about how to deal with this disease, or is there some therapy that actually reverses the neurological part of it?
Okay, so it's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that and you used the word disease, because here's what I'm going to tell you, Firefly. Autism isn't a disease. It's a neurological processing disorder. So what that means, it's a developmental disability, right? And so for so long, people have thought autism is a disease because that's what we were brought up to believe. And so one of the things that we're really focused on is helping educate our community as a whole about what autism is and what autism isn't. So changing the narrative. So what we do with the child, every child, when they come to Firefly, it's a pretty intensive process. It's about a 2-day process that we do an intake. So we meet with the child, we work with the child, we figure out what all the child's deficits are, but what's more important, what are their strengths? What are they good at doing? And so we take that and we build an individualized education plan, right? That's what all schools do for people with developmental disabilities. So we create an IEP, and here's what I will tell you. Every child, when you've met a person on the autism spectrum, you've met a single person on the autism spectrum, because not one worldwide is alike, not one. They're all so unique. So we individualize every program at Firefly to that child, to that teenager, or to that adult, because everybody's needs are different. So we help them at the earlier you get them, the bigger impact you can make. Because as they begin to age, then it's helping them learn to cope with sensory issues, or it's helping them learn to not do inappropriate behaviors and introducing appropriate behaviors, right? So for our adult program, for instance, many of them are successful in their own rights. They may be very successful at work. They may own their own company, but socially they struggle. And they struggle because of that struggle. They go into depression and all these other things that impact their lives. So what we do with the adults is help them. We created a support group around them of like-minded individuals, number one, but we also give them the tools that they need to be able to cope with those issues that come up for them throughout a day in the life of their normal lifespan. For children, we teach them at an early age how to deal with the behaviors that their autism, as a result of their autism, that keeps them from being educated. So I describe Firefly, here's the child, here's education. Firefly is literally that bridge between, because without Firefly, these families won't get access to a public education, because private, charter, public schools, you name it, they're not equipped to be able to provide the support that these kids need. Our early child program right now has a 98 graduation percentage. What that means is that these babies came to us, they couldn't talk, they had severe behaviors, some of them couldn't walk, they might have been with us for 2 years, they might have been with us for 4 years, but they graduate. And what that means is that they've graduated from Firefly, assimilated back into a neurotypical environment, and are successful with little to no support. And one of the commitments that we commit to with every family is, if that baby graduates, we will follow them up to a year in their home school district to ensure that the family is meeting the expectations that they need from their school districts, number one. And then we provide in-home services as well, not just for the child, but for the whole family. So one of the things about Firefly is if you're going to become part of Firefly, the family has to be involved. We've got too many babies on the wait list right now. And so we're very strict about that. You got to have skin in the game, which means you've got to be involved in the child's rearing, right? So it's not just you come drop your child off at Firefly and then pick them up and it's over. The work continues. So we provide families, we train families, we have parent training groups, we have parent support groups. One of the things that we're looking at down the road is providing parents with respite so that parents can go out on a date, because if you know anybody with autism, they will tell you that their life as they knew it totally changed once the child was diagnosed with autism. Divorce rate in families of autism is as high as 85% because it's very difficult to raise a typical kid. Now you add a layer of autism into that. And at Firefly, you're not just going to see children there with autism. We have children that have Down syndrome and autism. We have children that have autism and multiple diagnoses. So it's not just about autism for us, it's about the whole child. And we do a holistic approach, because at Firefly, not only are they getting therapy for their autism, they're getting occupational therapy, speech therapy, they're getting mental health support for the child and for the family.
Jesse, thank you so much for sharing
Sure.
that today. One thing I didn't do during our my introduction to you, because I wanted to keep it so brief, was let everybody know you're one of us, aren't you?
I am, actually.
Jesse is an optimist. What is your club?
Yep. I'm on the I think where the Monaco, Earl McVeigh is on here. I saw him earlier. So I'm part of that Optimist group with Earl and Uli and all those amazing people. And I've been involved. And the reason I joined that Optimist club is because in our old location, literally on Yale and Holly, we were a block away from the VFW hall right off of I-25 in Yale. We were right next to them. So I'm part of the University Optimist Club there.
All right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but
No, it's all good.
Anyway, it's really wonderful to know that we have this phenomenal resource for entire families on the autism spectrum. So thank you very much for presenting us today, and thank you for exposing that program for Firefly to this group here. And I hope that it will help generate some of the revenue that you need to continue going.
Well, and the other thing, Tony, thank you for giving me this format, and to all the other optimists out there. If anybody wants to reach out to me, again, go to the website, look me up, shoot me an email. You can call me. My cell phone's on there. If you want to come and take a tour, we're happy to do that. We have strict protocols in place for COVID, so you do have to wear a face mask. Our staff wear a face mask, but we can show you this amazing facility.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Everybody, let's give Jesse a great big
Don't
hand.